All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Fire and Ice podcast. Now, today's video will be a video that uploaded last year at the very start of the Iceland volcanic eruption. And there was some very strange happenings, weren't there, during this time frame. And that's really when the whole fire and ice phenomenon began to take off. So in today's 2024 podcast, you will hear me explain where the fire and ice cult originated from and why. And this will give us clues about what the future agenda will be. Now understand that what you're about to see wasn't too popular back when we covered it the first time because it was too forward thinking. No one had seen what fire and ice was. It was just me talking about fire and ice and a volcano going off in an ice region. But now, seen through the eyes of the recent climate extremes of fire and ice that everybody's witnessing, it's going to make all the sense in the world. So let's go ahead and take a look, and I'll put a link to the full 16 video podcast in the description for those of you that want to skip ahead. But I'll basically be in the chat with you guys today as we watch some of this podcast. Let's take a look. This is Apollo Creed, the false sun god. Let's get into this town of Grindavik and see what's happening here. Now, months ago when the eruption started far away from the town, I told you this town would likely be consumed by fire. And it is happening. So let this boot back up again. It's happening now. I'm going to show you some pictures of that. Why did we know the town was going to be consumed by fire about 2 months ago? Well, because there was a TV series that came out called Katla, and we had decoded that. And I showed you all the synchronicities between the TV series and what happened in real life in Iceland and what was going to happen in real life. This was the face we found at the center of town, the face of Tlaloc. Here you see on the right the real face of Tlaloc, the god that was worshipped and sacrificed to in the ancient Aztec culture. And on the left, you see the face of Tlaloc in the actual landscape of the town of Grindavik, the central town. I showed you the two eyes. Here are the two eyes here. I showed you the nose and the signature mouth with the parking stalls that look like the teeth and the corners and edges of his mouth wrapping around. And it's all right there spiritually for those with eyes to see. Then a huge gash opened up at the center of town, right next to the mouth of Tlaloc, as if the town was about to be consumed. And it was at that point that a man fell into the gash, into the pit, right at this point, right next to the face of Tlaloc. How can all this be, Casey? Well, it appears as though we're seeing the very fabric of the Matrix. This is being revealed to us because God wants people to wake up and know the truth. Here's the gash at that corner, and again, the face of Tlaloc is like right back here. A man fell into this giant crevice, never to be seen again. Obviously, he burned to death because there's lava down there. This was the burning of the man, and it is underway in Iceland. So today we're going to talk about what that means. No flesh left. And the end of human history, which is coming fast upon us. Just like in this Icelandic town, the single Tlaloc sacrifice happened every 52 years during what was called the New Fire Ceremony. A ritual knife was used to open the chest of the victim, one single victim, just like the one single man, and the opened chest of the actual ground. He fell in. The heart was removed from the victim, lit on fire, and then that single heart was used as a torch to light all of the fires of the kingdom that had just been put out just before the ceremony. This is why they call it the New Fire Ceremony, because they make new fire out of a single sacrifice. So this single man falling into the crack has to be the single sacrifice. Now, what is this ceremony pointing towards? Well, the next new fire ceremony is set to take place on the 5th of November, 2027, when the Pleiades reach their highest point in the sky, when they reach their zenith. And I begin to think about this and pray about it and ask God, what does this actually all mean? What was this new fire ceremony? Well, this is mockery of Jesus' second coming with fire, in which he will wipe away the earth and create a new heavens and a new earth. A perfect heavens and a perfect earth will be created at his second coming, because the entire earth will be consumed by fire. So the enemy mocks that, doesn't he, with these new fire ceremonies. Now, there's more to this, because it's apparent to me that this lighting of the human heart that's on fire is the same thing as the lighting of the torch ceremony during the Olympics. It has to be the origin of the Greek Olympic torch lighting ceremony. And all this has to be ritually related also to the torch that phosphorus carries. Lucifer. Let's look it up. This is phosphorus. Remember this little baby with the Trump hair carrying the torch in ancient mythology. Hot phosphorus, the morning star, carrying the lamp, Lucifer. So this has to be the origin of this. This is the false light. In fact, phosphorus, the element, glows. It literally glows. A green light. And oftentimes other types of light. Let me check with you guys. We'll keep going with this event. Let me show you some pictures of what's happening in Grindavik. Now, obviously, this torch is the false light. As I said, it's the devil's torch. It's rebellion against the coming fire of Jesus. It's rebellion against it. Now, what's weird about this Grindavik incident is that after the single sacrifice, that's when the ground opened up in a very different location, very close to the town, just outside the outskirts. And the fire actually began consuming the town. Let's look at some footage of this. Now, they tried to say early on there was nothing for these people to worry about. Many people had come back to town, but then it's now been completely evacuated. So this is now an empty town. So I thought about that. I'm like, God, what does that mean? If the town was empty? Well, it's symbolic. It's the symbolic of the end of all flesh. Because after the single sacrifice, after the man fell into the crevice and burned, there was no flesh left. It's the final merging of man with machine. Let's read about what happened in Grindavik with the man falling in, and then we'll get into some more of the Ozark Honeymilk Ranch footage towards kind of the end of the show. We're also going to cover a few headlines today, but here's what's going on in Grindavik as we speak. This is a fire and ice ritual, is what this is. Now, where did the fire and ice originate? Well, let's think logically. Let's think back in time. These sacrifices occurred high atop these volcanoes, right? So, Iceland is like the extreme example of this, right? Iceland is the extreme example because it's a place of ice, and then you've got volcanoes erupting out of it. But if you think logically, every high point of many of these volcanoes, especially the greatest of these volcanoes, has ice at the top. They are snow-capped mountains that suddenly erupt in fire. And this must be the origin of fire and ice. Look at this picture here. There's the town. This is just before. This is just 24, 48 hours ago when the very different location opened up and began spewing lava toward the town. This is before it went up into flames. Buildings burning. Let's see, here's some more footage here.
Town are again being told to leave their homes amid the threat of volcanic eruptions. Now, these are live pictures coming to us from a volcano erupting near the town of Grindavik, 43 miles or 70 kilometers southwest of Iceland's capital, Reykjavik. People living in Grindavik are being told to get out by Monday night after more volcanic fissures opened on roads in the area. Officials first evacuated Grindavik back in November, you'll remember, and that followed weeks of seismic activity, which culminated in a dramatic eruption that expelled bursts of lava and sent huge plumes of smoke into the sky.
So So now you're starting to see how all this works. Wonder if it was the 5th of November when they evacuated the town. Here's USA Today. Nothing else we could really do. New volcano in Iceland sends lava flowing toward homes. Here's some footage here. This is the second eruption. Happened pretty suddenly. And as you can see, it's going through and consuming the town. Now I'm going to read the story of the man that fell in, because there may be clues. I have not read the story yet, but I'm going to read the story and see if there's any clues about the single sacrifice that could relate it back to the new fire ceremony sacrifice. Because people don't just fall into crevices, right? That's not something that happens every day. Look at this. Look at that. That is just nuts. Wow. How's that house even standing right now? Now people say, well, why does all this matter, Casey? Well, these are spiritual manifestations, so all this matters a lot because it's the shape of things to come for those with eyes to see. Let's go back to this original story here. Read this. Search and rescue teams are frantically searching for an unlucky man who's reportedly fallen into a crack in the earth that opened up following the eruption of a volcano southwest of Iceland's capital, Reykjavik. Late last year, tens of thousands of earthquakes rocked the Reykjavikian peninsula, culminating in the eruption of a massive volcano that spewed gigantic plumes of lava into the sky. Now, according to this newspaper, a man who was filling a crevice in the affected coastal fishing town of Grindavik tumbled into the opening, triggering a 200-person search and rescue operation. Swallowed whole. Sounds like something out of a horror movie. We came to search until we find him, said this guy. It's a local police chief. Where she at is still unclear how deep or long the crack itself is, but the crack is deep. Some have estimated that it could be up to 100 feet deep. Rescuers are now slowly being lowered into the crack inside a special basket. Where he fell down, it's just a small hole, but when you get down there, there's a lot more open space. Wow, this whole town could literally implode into this large open space. The entire town had to be evacuated in November. Massive cracks formed in the ground. Wow. Search and rescue is racing against the clock. Will they find him? Apparently it doesn't say here if they found this guy or not. Likely a sacrifice. Wow. Let's get into some of these other headlines. Let me check them with you guys. We'll get into some of these other headlines. So, everything began with an injection, didn't it? To kill all flesh. And now, according to updated medical consensus, they are now saying that young people are getting cancer at alarming rates. What could have caused that? Well, we all know, right? We all know. Now, if you're new to the channel and you have questions about anything we're covering today or any of the code words we're using, there are lots and lots of people in the chat that are up to speed on everything. Simply ask the question. No one will make you feel stupid or make you feel like that's a dumb question. You'll be politely answered because the people here are Christians and we want to help you get up to speed. So if you have questions, just put them in the chat. And on this channel, you're allowed to use all capitals to ask your questions. That way it will pop out so that people can pick up on it and help you out. I don't want anyone to ever feel confused when they come to this channel. I try to do my best to repeat concepts and help everyone get up to speed. All right, let's read this, you guys. Young people getting cancer at alarming rates. What could have caused that? People below the age of 50 are now getting cancer more than ever before, and doctors are stumped. Fast forward through that part. And to the end part of the show here. Well, we all remember iPad Go 2. And it was all about ice and fire. Here's the ice and then the fire at the end, consuming as this Antichrist figure basically heads toward the fire. So we'll have to see what this is all about in the coming days and weeks. Here's the end of iPad Go 2 with the fire going off into the sun and like fireballs destroying the earth. Wow. Now, I wanted to do a quick follow-up on yesterday's show. Gotham Bank. Remember the creepy 666 building we decoded? The Deutsche Bank building next door to Trump's International Hotel? Well, the site used to be the location of the Gotham Bank. Here's the Gotham Bank right here. Here's Columbus Circle. And Trump International would be like right here. And this building is the Gotham Bank. Now, what is this about? Why are we doing a follow-up on yesterday's show about this? Well, it just further confirms everything we were talking about. Because in the Batman universe, there is a Gotham National Bank. And it is next door to Wayne Tower, just like Trump Tower. Except in this case, it's Trump International Hotel. Both of the two are actually very close together. Gotham National Bank was one of the largest banks in Gotham near Wayne Tower. It was, however, part of the mob's trading route. Because of it being a key location of the mob's trading route, the security systems of the mob's main vault was also wired with voltage, at least as high as 5,000 volts. So there's your electric kingdom. Now, this Gotham National Bank was actually robbed by the Joker to the tune of $68 million in the Dark Knight Batman universe. Now, you'll remember that part of the Dark Knight was actually filmed in Trump Tower. I wish I was making all this up, but you really can't, right? Here are some more images of Gotham National Bank. Let's see, let's go back here. Here it is here. This is Gotham National Bank. Now, it's a little bit confusing as to how many stories Gotham National Bank is. I've found reports of 24 stories and 23 stories. I cannot confirm either of those. But here's Wayne Tower on the Gotham map. Here's the Gotham City map. And Wayne Tower occupies spot 39 on the map here, as you can see. Wayne Tower, spot 39, which is right here. Now, what makes this weird is there seems to be a Central Park here. There's a Central Park area here. And right here is Wayne Tower. Now, if we were looking at this in Central Park, in terms of the real Central Park, and we overlaid it over this, Trump Tower would be like right in this area. And Trump International Hotel would be right in this area. So everything's almost exactly where it should be. Wow. Right at this corner of Central Park, this south end of Central Park. Weird, right? Now, I was not able to find Gotham National Bank on the map, but as it said in the Dark Knight universe, it's actually close to Wayne Tower. So we know it has to be somewhere in this area where number 39 is. Right here at this south end of Central Park. Weird. Look at this. Gotham is broken up into 3 sections. They're like islands connected by bridges. There's uptown, midtown, and downtown. So that is the makeup. Now, in the final bizarre synchronicity, Batman Day is May 1st, which is, of course, the highest day of sacrifice in the witch's calendar and the founding date of the Illuminati. That is Batman Day, May 1st. Unbelievable. Now, let me check in with you guys. We're going to do the Honey Milk Ranch today. Good morning, everybody. We're going to do some boxing today, and you guys will see the snow. You guys have any questions about everything we just covered so far before we get into the Honey Milk Ranch? All right, so that's pretty much what I wanted to show you guys today in the next series of the podcast. And I'm glad you guys all tuned in for that. I didn't have a whole lot for you guys other than that. Tomorrow will likely be between the headlines, and we're going to be talking about fake job postings. You know, I've talked to some of you, and the job market is just insane, and it's only going to get worse. I've heard stories of literally you applying for jobs, and literally half the jobs are fake. And think of the frustration. Think of everything you have to do as a person to apply for a job, right? You have to fill out an application online. You have to, go through like a 20-minute process, like per job, only to find out that many of these jobs are fake. It's almost like they're trying to do this on purpose to exacerbate us and to essentially drive us insane. So I'm going to show you a news story tomorrow in which they actually admit that most of the jobs are fake. And it's only going to get worse with the rise of artificial intelligence, as many of these jobs are replaced by artificial intelligence instead of humans. This is why we have to stand up and demand that there'll be rules in place against artificial intelligence taking the place of humans in any way, shape, or form. Heck, if they want to use it for whatever they want to use it for defense and all that, whatever. We do not want artificial intelligence in our daily lives. There's something to be said for work that pays a fair wage, where we're not toiling and spinning our wheels and giving all of our energy to these vampires. Now, some of you actually enjoy working. You enjoy, getting up and going to a job. I remember when I was young, and I enjoyed McDonald's was my first job, interestingly. And I would go in, and we had like people that were really cool that I worked with. I still remember their faces, and we had fun and we laughed. But guess what? That was when I was 15 years old. I didn't have to pay a mortgage. I didn't have to pay rent. All the money I made, I just bought tennis shoes and bikes with it. So it's different than actually having to maintain all the bills and everything that we have to maintain in this life, right? And a lot of people can go 5 or 10 years, and then your body starts hurting. Your body starts giving out. Your mind starts giving out. You realize you're just working to pay other people, essentially. And very little of that comes back as disposable income. And we'll dive into some of those concepts tomorrow, where I can give it a little bit more time. But we're also going to talk tomorrow about miraculous homes in the LA fires that did not catch fire, but everything around them burned down. Wow. So they're literally saying it was sheer luck. Yeah, right. We all know, right? Now, someone mentioned the External Revenue Service. Yeah, I heard about that. To collect the tariffs that none of us are going to see. Look, with all this stuff that Trump's saying he's going to do, I expect the largest tax cut in U.S. history, right? No more 15%, 20%. I expect, look, if you're going to do tariffs on all these countries, and you're going to have a DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, then our tax rate should be somewhere around 2 or 3%. To me, that seems like kind of fair. Look, I'll pay 2 or 3% of my income so that roads can be built and things and infrastructure or whatever it is they say. That sounds fair, but 15, 20%, that is not fair. That's too much, especially since the billionaires aren't paying their fair share. And not to mention, the impact of taxes on their lives is much, much, much less. Because we're talking about percentages of income, aren't we? We're talking about you and I on our end, and you get taxed, and guess what? You might not be able to maintain your car, or you might not be able to, get groceries that month or whatever, right? But then even if a billionaire had to pay 15% of their income, which they don't, even if they had to, they don't have to worry about those things when they wake up every day, about how if they're going to be able to put fuel in their car. It's a completely different dynamic than our daily lives. And the billionaires don't understand this. So I'm going to hold Trump accountable. If you're saying that you're going to have an external revenue service to collect all these tariffs, right? We're talking billions of dollars, maybe even to the trillions, all right? And now I understand the IRS is illegal, Tyler, and I'm with you on that. But we got to start somewhere, right? We got to at least hold them accountable, because it might sound shocking to a lot of mainstream people to say there shouldn't be any taxes. That's what I truly believe. But let's start with the most drastic reduction in taxes in U.S. history. And we're not even going to get close to that. We're going to get like a tax break that's going to be similar to other Republicans in the past. That's what they're going to give us, okay? They're not going to give us a drastic 10 or 20% tax break. They're not going to do that. So this way we can call them out on this, right? We can call them out. So those are my personal feelings about all that. So what else is going on, you guys? Yeah, Trump seems to be backpedaling on the Ukraine thing. Reality setting in. He's not going to end it in 24 hours. I suspect this is going to blow your mind, but let's see. Am I going to say mark my words on this one? One of these days I'm going to be wrong about something, and you guys are going to call me out on it. But are you ready for this? Mark my words. We will continue to send more billions of dollars to the Ukraine when Trump becomes president. It sounds shocking, right? It sounds shocking. No, I get it, Tim. I know what you're saying. I get it. Now, Jesus paid his tribute only as a courtesy. So I'm willing to pay a little tribute so as not to offend, to have some basic services. But what we have now with the government is just full blown. It's unbelievable. And no one's fixed it. We get a president in and we get a small tax break, and then they just scoop it up on the other end with something else that they raise the prices on. So I'm speaking facetiously when I say a 3% taxes. It shouldn't be really anything. It should be voluntary. So, but we got to start somewhere. So what else is going on? Yes, we will continue to send money to the Ukraine. And guess what the conservatives are going to say? They're going to say, well, I'd rather send money to Ukraine under Trump because at least I know that it's not going to be, they're going to say the money's not going to be laundered this time. This is what people will say. And then you'll be like, this is when it will all settle in for some people. They'll be like, whoa, the same exact action, but it's given a green light because it's under Trump instead of Biden. And this is what they'll say. And they'll say Trump will know how to manage the war better. And he may end it eventually, but mark my words, we will send more money over there. So I think we're up to 100 billion we've sent over there now. I think we did the math, and that equated to like, what was it, a $3,000 or $4,000 check per American, per working American. It would have been in our pockets that we've sent over there. Imagine what you could have done with $5,000. So, all right. What else is going on, you guys? Deportation is a sure thing, right? I'm 50-50 on that. I don't know what Trump's move is going to be on the deportations. I think what'll end up happening is he'll say he wants to do it, and then he'll say, oh, the Democrats are opposing it. California won't let us in with our National Guard. And then there'll be like some kind of standoff. And what you'll see is, Newsom versus Trump. And it'll be like headline news. And then Trump will say, I wanted to send in the National Guard, but I can't. And then all of the illegals will just go to these sanctuary states, is what I think is probably going to happen. We'll see how it all plays out. So, all right. That's a good question. Yeah, the same as lock her up. Meanwhile, they'll play with all their little toys, their drones and their facial recognition and biometrics. And Trump will probably be out there kind of bragging about, we've now documented, 5,000 illegals. They've all been entered into the system, never to come back again because we'll have them on camera before they can step, he likes to brag it up, doesn't he? Before they get within a mile of the border, we'll have them tracked by 52 drones and 5,000 cameras or something like that. Yes, and let's not forget, Trump did say that when Christians vote for him, they'll never have to vote again. What does that mean? What does that mean? Yeah, some will say we're in an invisible war. Bible talks about wars and rumors of wars. Well, guess what? Wonder if that meant civil wars to some degree. Wonder if that meant our government against us, and it being a rumor. And the reason why it's a rumor is because the mainstream media won't cover it. It'll just be all of us talking about it, about what happened to so and so and such and such and such. So if you're new to the channel, this channel is about value accountability. It's about value accountability. Okay. We have values shouldn't really budge, should they? Values are values. It doesn't matter who's the president. Okay. We called out the electric kingdom under Biden. We said, this is not good. And we talked about all of the lithium mines going up all over America under Biden. We called them out. We also called out Republicans who were going right along with the ride. Republican governors allowing these lithium mines in their states. So this isn't a Trump attack channel. This is a value channel to call out the values. Okay. We knew Kamala would not be president. Told you guys that last year. She was just a pawn to scare the conservatives into voting to give their consent to what's coming next. And Trump has now revealed his hand. It's the technocracy. It's for the billionaires. Billionaires that have clearly stated how they feel about us, me and you, people at the bottom. They've clearly stated how they feel about us. They feel like they can take our blood plasma from our young. 2 billionaires were doing this. Peter Thiel and the Venmo billionaire. And probably many more, because Thiel is the head of the dragon. He's the reptile. He's the one at the top. They stated that in the movie that we decoded. And all of the other billionaires kind of follow what he does. Okay. Thiel started PayPal, and then the Venmo guy copied him. See how this works? And so they've already stated that they want to drink young blood. Where do you think that young blood's going to come from? They're not drinking it, but they're transfusing it to stay young. And if you think those are the only 2 that are doing it, you're sadly mistaken. They're all doing it. They've also told us that there's no need for humans anymore because AI will control everything. And they're building the AI. So what does that tell you? They're literally telling you that we're becoming extinct. They haven't told us what we're going to do yet with all this free time, have they? They haven't told us what we're going to be doing with all this free time. They haven't told us that we're going to be able to oppose this and have an option, have they? But yet, you should see some of the comment sections in some of these stories that I go down under the comment section, and I look, and there you see people defending Trump aligning himself with these very billionaires. Calling people conspiracy theorists. But these people have already shown their hands. It used to be common knowledge in the truth community that we should not trust Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, who wore a satanic Baphomet for Halloween. It was just common knowledge before that these people did not have our best interests at heart. Bezos, spending all this money on rockets. What is their fascination with rockets and low Earth orbit? Well, they're preparing for the great final battle, aren't they? And they think they can escape it by going underground or going above ground. Why do you think Elon Musk has a boring company? It's all secretive. Oh yeah, they have a couple of, public projects. There was like some tunnel under LA that like nobody uses, or not LA, under Vegas. But mostly, of course, they're building underground cities. Of course, they're building underground cities for the elite. The Boring Company, look it up. Nobody starts a company building tunnels. That's ridiculous. There's a reason behind it. There's a reason behind it. So they're going under the ground and they're going up in the air. Bezos is trying to build an Elysium type of super city up in the sky, which to me just is ridiculous. They probably already have something like that up there. That's why all the rockets are going up there. I mean, let's just cut to the chase, you guys. They probably already have an elite super city up there, don't they? A place to go and like basically, there's like some club and they're like, oh yeah, you give us $1 billion a year and we got a rocket ready for you. In fact, the rocket is underneath your mansion. These doors open up and the thing shoots out of the ground when Armageddon comes and they fly off to their satellite. And it's like an Elysium city. Right? And then they go up there and it's got like green grass and everything, just like Bezos' project. It's already probably up there. And they have 0G if you want, or gravity that he described. I mean, who knows what these people are up to? They're insane. And now these are the people that are going to help Trump run the country. I don't get how, so many people are still asleep on this. It's insane. And, people wonder, well, Casey, why do you keep on with this? Because people are asleep. I wouldn't have to keep on about it if I wasn't seeing all this stuff around us and how people are deceived, right? Okay, let me give you an example. Remember back when the truth community started and the big deal of the day was, there's a pyramid and all-seeing eye in the back of the dollar bill. Well, after a while, you just stop talking about that because it's already understood that that's creepy, right? So you don't have to really talk about it anymore. You move on to other things. So here we are in 2025, and we have to talk about this because nobody is talking about it, really. Most of the truth community the popular truth community, let me rephrase that. Most of the popular truth community has picked a side, and that's Donald Trump. Or they're not making a decisive stand against the right-left paradigm. I know Joe Rogan, he pretends, but he's not making a decisive stand against it. Otherwise, when he had Zuckerberg on, he would have said something. Or when he had some of these people on his show, he would have said something about this. He would have called Trump out a long time ago. But they won't. So therefore, we have a false truth community. And those of us who stand outside of the right-left paradigm, they got the boot on our neck, right? Our relevance is waning. Channels that call out the right-left paradigm, look at what we've gone through for trying to call out the right-left paradigm, right? Channels like Call for an Uprising, unplug them. Any of us who call out the right-left paradigm, your growth stops in its tracks. You're just stopped. And then everyone goes over to Joe Rogan and they think that's the truth. And it's not. It's simply not. And maybe it's just not popular to stand outside the right-left paradigm. I don't know. But it's crazy. It's really crazy, you guys. All right. People don't want to know. Yeah, it's insane. Even when you show them. Even when you show them. They just keep making excuses. Oh, that was just a Halloween costume, Casey. Oh, no. Elon Musk was trolling Satan when he wore the satanic Baphomet Halloween costume. He was just trolling him. He keeps his enemies closer. There's it's like pre-packaged excuses. And the people really believe it. You look in their eyes and you could see, it reminds me of the movie Get Out. Let's talk about that for a minute. I just watched that recently, actually. I don't know why I watched it again, but maybe it's because we're supposed to talk about it right now. Many of you will remember in the movie Get Out. And there was a, interracial couple. Black man goes home to the white family and he finds out that they are literally body snatching black people to take advantage of their physical nature. Now, the whole premise of the movie is just silly, right? As if black people are the only people that are, are good at athletics. It just, these kinds of movies are kind of hard to decode because they keep reinforcing the racism, right? Because so it preys on the feelings of inadequacy of white people, and it preys on, this notion that black people are being like used. Now, I know that happens, but here we are in 2025, and we need to start moving past some of this stuff. But anyway, the reason why I brought up the movie Get Out was because in the movie, the plot of the movie, they were essentially, these white people were taking over black people's body. So their spirit was inside the body, and they would cut off the head and replace the brain. It was like a brain swap. Any of you remember the movie? And essentially, the person inside, the original black person inside, was trying so hard to reach the surface of consciousness within the white person that was controlling his brain. It was a pretty creepy movie if you watch it back. It took me a couple of times, because when I watched it the first time, I didn't pick up on all this. Then I watched it again, I was like, whoa, this is a trip. So anyway, the black person inside would try to reach the surface. And when you're visualizing it in their brain, because they were put under hypnosis by this woman who's basically a witch, she put them under hypnosis, and this is what suppressed the consciousness of the black person. And it felt like they fell through the floor, like through a black hole. And then they were like stuck under the surface. And it reminded me of that other movie, Under the Skin, with Scarlett Johansson. It was the same concept, dragging men into a hole of subconsciousness while something else takes over your body. And so the thing that tripped me out about the movie is it reminds me of the way people are acting when you face them down with truth, even if, we're being polite about it. When you ask them full frontal questions, it's almost as if the person inside that knows that what you're saying is true, you can see it in their eyes, but there's a different person speaking to you, defending 13 billionaires that are running the country now, or will be running the country. Yes, Jared, they called it the sunken place. And this is what it feels like talking to people now. Nothing you say, nothing. You could literally show, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good example of something that would be so damaging to Trump. You could show them something and they would just say, oh, that's not real. That's an AI. But you can see the little twinkle in their eye of the person inside that knows that what you're showing them is the truth, but they can't bring themselves to believe it for various reasons, mostly psychological. But it's creepy, you guys. It is creepy. Yeah, it sounds like possession. It's like they're possessed. Or the strong delusion. Now, we know God said that this would happen. He would give people over into their delusions. But it's, wow. It's insane. So, yeah. What else is going on, you guys? Yeah, apathetic. You know what's crazy is I graduated high school in 91, and they were like hazing us. And they were like basically saying like the theme of my senior year in high school was apathy. They literally used that very same word. And they're like, do you know what apathy means? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, this is what defines your generation. They said we didn't care. Can you believe that? That was back in 1991. So, yes, William, the love gone cold. They think we're the crazy ones. Somebody, if any of those truth channels are out there listening that are outside the right left paradigm, somebody should put together a montage of all the billionaires and what they've said over the years, let's say over the last 10 years. Bezos, Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, and string together all of the comments they've made against humanity and put that in a 10-minute video. I bet you that would go viral. And still people wouldn't wake up. Oh, it's because they're finally going to work with Trump. They've changed their ways, even though they've never told us they've changed their ways. This is what they'll say. Oh, because Trump's managing them now. Everything he touches turns to gold. Oh my gosh. So it's 2025 is going to be interesting, you guys. It's going to be a very interesting year. And it'll be the start. And yes, there will be an event, some event. I don't know what that event will be. I'm thinking it's either going to be another pandemic. And then I know I've said this for a few years now, that a nuke will go off in an American city. Something like that could happen because they need another catalyzing event, don't they? They're not quite there yet. They've got the border issue, which is a catalyzing event to a certain degree, but it has not raised people's alarm bells and fear enough yet to finally crack down with the technocratic state. Okay. They need a huge catalyzing event. So the only thing I can think of that would do that would be like a nuke going off in an American city. Okay. Some kind of attack, they'll call it. Or something like that. Or another pandemic could do it. Now, last time they borderline were, we were right on the cusp of being forced to take the V, right? Let's not ever, ever, ever forget that. And I repeat it sometimes because you need to remember what happened to us. Some of you were literally forced to take it. Well, you were threatened. You came under threat, right? What did they threaten? They threatened your job. And yeah, you could try to appeal in some instances, but a lot of jobs, they didn't have appeals in certain states. If you were like a teacher or you worked in the hospital, there wasn't an option. You either lost your job and all the money you paid into, getting your licensing and all these things, right? That's a huge threat. We're talking to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars and the possible end of your career. And I don't know about you guys. Like, I know what I would have done because I already did it. I gave up a 6-figure career to do what I do now. So I know how I would have handled it. But a lot of people might not have been able to make that decision. So to them, it felt forced. You also had people in the middle of divorce and custody disputes. And the courts were siding unanimously with the parent who went along with the V program. So you're one of those parents and you're fighting for custody of your children. And the husband comes in or the wife comes in and says, this person's a conspiracy theory. They don't even want to protect our child against the coronavirus. And the judge goes, 100% custody of the other child. Now you pay the other parent to raise a child. This was real. These were real situations that were happening. So what do you think it's going to be like the next go around? If we have another spam-demic, what do you think's going to happen? You can say all you want that Trump will stand up for you, but he didn't stand up for us the last time, did he? Because all that stuff happened. There was no executive order protecting our right to not get stuck, right? Was there an executive order against the states to not discriminate against us? No, there wasn't. And then he showed his hand after the fact, and he bragged about warp speed, didn't he? Never, ever forget. It's like people have amnesia, or they just want their side to win. And if you think it's going to be better the next time, it's going to be worse this time. Oh, you can say, oh, we've defeated the Democrats. It's going to be better this time. No, no, no. That's not how the right-left paradigm works. They'll just magnify the Democrat side to oppose Trump even more. That's how it works. So That's the truth of the matter. Yes, it was rolled out Operation Warp Speed. He was the one that did it. Never forget. Had his signature on it. And we had exposed the whole, logo on the Warp Speed. People like Trump didn't make the logo. He was the president. He didn't have time to put together a logo. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm talking to a 3rd-year-old, a 3rd grader. He didn't do the logo, Casey. Come on. You think that he didn't sign off on that logo? Knowing that it was going to be representing him? Trump's very anal. So, of course, he was going to double check that logo and make sure he was 100% on board with it. If you didn't get a clue about him putting the letter T on everything and marketing his name, of course he knew what the Warp Speed logo was. So we went down that rabbit hole. We showed you that Warp Speed logo is an actual Reiki symbol that means human consciousness. And if you don't believe me, just type in the Antar Corona, which sounds like anti-corona, doesn't it? The Antar Corona symbol, Reiki symbol, and sit it side by side next to the Warp Speed logo. We then found, I'm just doing a little recap on for the new people. This isn't, just trying to put things in perspective for you, because some of what you're hearing today probably sounds shocking. But every single thing I said, you can look up and confirm for yourself. Don't take my word for it. The Antar Corona symbol has to do with the consciousness. Then we found out the guy that actually Trump hired to head up Warp Speed was into New Age, into Bioelectronics, which is the fusing of electronics with the vagus nerve. We then went on to his site, Galvani, and there's a literal Ouroboros circling on the website. A satanic Ouroboros, a snake eating its tail. Galvani Pharmaceuticals. You can look all this up. Now, we've done so many shows. So much stuff exposing. And sometimes I think people get lost in the minutia. So every once in a while I have to give you a summary so that you can wake back up. Because a lot of people think, and I can tell by some of the comments, that people come and try to pick us off. They'll just say general statements. They're not addressing anything I'm saying. They're just saying, this is fake, or that's not real, or why are you picking on Trump? Or, the endless, they call that character assassination. They're not addressing the real stuff that I'm actually saying. They're just trying to discredit the channel, right? But if you look all this up, it's right there. Galvani Pharmaceuticals. Let's look it up right now, so you guys can see this. This is insane. See if it shows up. Galvani Bioelectronics. This is the guy that headed up Warp Speed. They're literally fusing. This is exactly the same kind of stuff that, what's his name? Elon Musk is working on. Same stuff. See if the Ouroboros is still here. They want to hack your vagus nerve. Oh, there it is. Okay. There's the Ouroboros. They want to hack your vagus nerve, right? And they want to modulate frequencies. Hello, 5G. To tap in to try to quote unquote heal you is what they said. These people have already showed their hand, haven't they? They've already showed their hand because they've already told us that we lack the willpower to be healthy and that we should have algorithms take care of our health. How are they going to do that without hacking the brain with electronics to force you to have good willpower? They've already told us what they want to do. This is what the Venmo billionaire told us in that documentary. It says we're not smart enough to be healthy and live longer. We need help. We need an algorithm. So, yeah, we've been talking about the LA fires, Flower Garden. That was on a couple shows ago. We've been actually 2 or 3 shows we've done on the LA fires. Basically, they're terraforming. Okay. This is what they're doing. They're taking out areas. And we've been talking about California terraforming for a long time. Destabilization of California. This is the whole purpose of it. This is why they let all the illegals in, to destabilize life. This is why they let all of the homeless people ruin people's property values. It was all part of a plan. And now it's time to clean everything up so that they can reshape it. They can buy it for pennies on the dollar. And this is where that's all headed. We're also going to cover the LA fires tomorrow as well, because I'm going to show you houses that were unburned and what the mainstream media is saying as to how that happened. You're going to be shocked. So we'll cover all that tomorrow between the headlines. So hope you guys enjoyed the podcast number 2 and the short discussion afterwards. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Love each and every one of you. Stay warm out there. Much love.